attention? Really? Close your other tabs, put your phone away, and bring your focus to this screen in 3, 2, 1. Your attention is a superpower that you kind of don't realise you have. And some people are saying this power is being threatened, that we're in the middle of an attention crisis. Facebook phones, emails, Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, eternal autoplay of videos on YouTube and Netflix, barrage of news notifications. Oh, a dancing panda. Homo sapiens is becoming Homo distractus, a species with the attention span of a goldfish. Wait, what? Now, you must have heard about this before. Everyone's been talking about how our attention is being hijacked.
We can see that these systems have been designed with intricacy so that companies can keep our attention indefinitely.
Your attention is just tunneled into these things.
These products are shaping what 2 billion people think every day. I mean, that's more power than any government in history.
It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works.
So, are technology and social media companies ruining everything? I'm a little skeptical. I use all of these technologies. My work is made on these platforms, this one in particular. So I want to take a closer look, because these are huge claims. And if they're true, the consequences would be too large to ignore. Let's go back to where it all started, New York City in the 1800s. There were a lot fewer buildings, more horses, and the city would have smelled even worse than it does today. One man who lived here, Benjamin Day, figured out he could publish a newspaper and sell it for very cheap, just 1 penny, and then make money by selling ads. It sounds obvious now, but it was the first time that someone did this. Give people something free, and once you've got their attention, sell this attention to advertisers.
So the industry somewhat depends on you losing control of yourself and handing over a lot of time and attention. And then that is resold to somebody else.
Think about it. We've always bought and sold things like gold, copper, or crops that have a physical quantity and price. And the economics seem to be straightforward. Whoever owns more is better off. Your attention, too, has been compared to these commodities. Just like gold, it's a resource, precious and scarce, and you have a limited supply. So, what's the price of your attention? This all is called the attention economy, where businesses compete for eyeballs to direct them towards commercial, well-packaged products, whether that be in newspapers or the sidebar of Facebook. In this business model, we, the people, are the product being sold. And we're getting beaten up in everyone's race to get access to our minds. You receive millions and trillions of bits of information from the external world at any moment. But you only experience what you attend to. One of your most amazing skills is called attentional control. It's the capacity to choose what we ignore and what we pay attention to, and devote cognitive resources to processing it.
For a long time, ironically, attention didn't get any attention by psychologists. But once we noticed it, we realized that it's at the core of many of our cognitive skills. One type of attention is bottom-up. It's a reflexive brain system, and it listens in on the environment to pick up anything that stands out, that is salient, and so probably noteworthy. And that's why you don't have to scan your whole visual field to find the traffic lights. But this system is very automatic, and it's really hard to override it, and it's pretty much impossible to not pay attention to something that's salient, like a red-colored notification. We use the system from the day we're born to build a model of what's important in the world, what should I pay attention to and remember in the future. Then we can use our top-down attention to voluntarily decide where to allocate our brain powers, to allocate them to something that we know and have learned that is important. But the system also has shortcomings. It could use cues from the environment that are not actually useful. So, for example, brain imaging studies show that there is increased activity in the visual cortex when we view a photo with many likes, versus the same photo with just a few likes. In other words, we're intuitively paying more attention to something that looks like it's better rated socially. And what's even worse is that attention is limited. You can only spend it on one thing at a time. We might have this illusion of control, but we're totally ignorant of what we didn't see.
For example, did you see the gorilla before? So it's not just our productivity that's at risk. Not only will that momentary lapse of attention make you distracted, but also what you do see will form a memory. Those memories make up your life experience. We use them to make a model of the world and make decisions. Those competing for your attention decide what gets priority and rewrite what's important to you. And for those who obtain the attention of large numbers of people, the possibilities go beyond selling them toothbrushes and merino knit sneakers. They can determine whose voices are heard, what opinions and facts get exposure. They can use this power to shape public opinion and politics. They can sell ideas. This isn't a new phenomenon entirely. We've seen different examples of mass persuasion throughout history. In fact, the attention economy really took flight on the back of propaganda. At the beginning of World War I, the British government realised it needed persuasive methods of advertising to raise an army to match the size of Germany's. They seized control of the population's attention to get into people's minds with one message: serve your country, enlist in the army.
The greatest admirers of British propaganda were the Germans. They were amazed at the ability of the British to create a war will in their soldiers, to recruit so many people willingly, to demonize the Germans so thoroughly. Among the admirers, maybe the most fervent was a man who was determined he could do better. He felt that the German propaganda had been too rationalistic, too much Immanuel Kant, too boring. He suggested that you really need to capture the attention of the public and then give their messages. He was writing this from prison, an ad man, artist by the name of Adolf Hitler, and he was determined that he could do better.
These historical examples show how mass harvesting of attention can have real big-scale impact.
Yeah, I think that we're in danger of losing control of our collective consciousness. And what I call for is what I call a human reclamation project. I think we need to come back to what it means to be human, to realize fundamentally that attention is a resource that we own and that we should decide how to spend, and not let ourselves be so directed, so entranced, so captured by whatever wants to lure us for a minute of our attention.
And today, persuasion is being taken to the next level. For one thing, we now carry the megaphone in our pockets, and it's all personalised. This is where the ethics become murky. Personalised ads and content recommendation is much more effective at grabbing your attention.
And what is happening there is that there's an artificial intelligence system that's not visible to you, that's looking at what you're doing and saying, let me push her buttons and let me just go and show her this. And then you watch it, right? If it found the right thing, you watch and you're like, oh, this is interesting. YouTube, owned by Google, has just racked up the minutes of you watching and has served you some ads and now even understands you better. So next time you come, it's going to target you even better. So on the business side, that's how it's in their interest financially to keep us engaged by any means necessary.
Now, in 1890, William James, a pioneering psychologist, observed that the mind at every stage is a theatre of simultaneous possibilities. My experience is what I agree to attend to. In all of this reflection, I've returned to a simple but fundamental question. What is a good life? What is important? I've started becoming concerned with what I'm paying attention to, with what my own life experience will equal. Let's imagine I live to 90 years old, so each of these dots is a month of my life. If I spend 2 hours a day on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, that's equal to a month of a year of my life. I've probably done that for the past 5 years. And what happens if I continue for another 10? When we started this project, I used to say that apps and social media sites are tools, and it's our responsibility to use these tools sensibly. But I've come to realise that these tools are designed to be masters of our attention. And the tech companies are starting to acknowledge this by introducing features that monitor how much time we're spending online. Just this year, Google and Apple introduced digital wellbeing features for their phones, where you can set a time limit and turn on features to decrease the use of your device. As the New York Times put it, we're now seeing the big tech equivalent of drink responsibly.
Those seem like good steps, but let's remember every single one of the devices we own also has an off switch.
We're in the middle of a battle, the attention wars, between some trying to harvest our attention and others trying to free our minds. Your attention is a precious resource, and your future will be shaped by how you use it. Use your powers wisely. Now, if I still have your attention, I do understand the irony in creating online content about how, perhaps, we should be offline. But the reality is, life isn't so black and white, and there's a lot more to discover. So, this is the first episode in a 6-part quest in understanding the psychology of our attention and examining technology in our everyday lives. I do hope you'll join us in your own time, at your own pace.